got my plate.
Yes, you know what? So the question was raised about what about the other side of the fence? And one of the challenges in a big park project is dealing with all the regulatory agencies. So in order to move this project along in less than 20 years, there are a lot of shoreline regulations, and there wasn't enough money to do a really good job of treating the shore.
So what are they going to do?
So the project couldn't go all the way to the shore. For example, there's going to be a seawall, and just treatments of the shore, we would have had to get various kinds of permits that were going to slow the project down a lot. And we didn't have, the budget was limited, so RIAC was going to do some light touch landscaping. I actually don't know the specifics, but it's one of the realities that is kind of sad. Is there wasn't enough money to do everything, and we would have had to do this work. Eventually, absolutely. I think that there is a phase two. There is a phase two to this project where seawall improvement and going down to the edge. But in the master plan process, there was talk about a boat launch, and again, treating the edge is something that's going to have to happen later on with some new funds and going through the regulatory process.
Well, let's face it, we're an island. We live next to an island. There's very little direct water access on either island. In fact, I think the only place you can get next to the water is probably down by Waterside over there. And in Brooklyn. But you can almost never get next to the water on either island.
But it is interesting that it's a growing trend in park design to get people down to the water. There's obviously
now the park underneath the Brooklyn Bridge.
Right.
You can get to the water. He was explaining that they ran out of money and there's a lot of regulatory reporting.
Andy, did you say if there was enough money, it would be possible to have access to the water from here?
The whole issue of water access, is it getting to the edge or is it getting down to the water? So I'm not quite sure what's really going to happen and what's possible. You remember in the master plan process, there was talk about kayaking and which side would be best and was it feasible. Even since then, there's so much more interest in kayaking.
So over the weekend, I was at the Brooklyn Bridge Park,
and
you can see how they have a beach and rocks actually almost touching the water.
No, it's really great.
In Long Island City.
Well, in the Brooklyn Bridge Park as well.
That too. Yeah.
Smallpox Hospital, I know. We've been calling it Brentwood Smallpox Hospital. Yes.
I imagine all of this will be landscaped here.
On this side of the fence, I think that what can be done beyond the fence, you have to really ask RIAC. Yes, absolutely.
Were you involved in the selection of the benches? Is there any particular reason why it's... I mean, I've seen other types of benches.
It's interesting because I was hoping one of the designers could join me. I don't know.
I have a feeling the reason they're that way is you can face Renwick and you can face that way.
Thank you.
You can sit either way.
Thank you for that design
You're talking
suggestion.
about the fact that it's backless, or
Well, I've seen other benches which look more comfortable.
Do you think
but did you hear what I just
Yeah,
said?
it makes perfect sense. That makes sense.
I can't think of his name, the guy who was the engineer, the RIAC engineer who retired.
Oh, right, Tom Tercer.
Tom, right. He actually, I was just talking to him, he said that he chose them.
Right.
The benches and the garbage. And I was saying how great, what the details are.
Well, Diana,
I think they just blend.
There's pros and cons on the benches.
Oh.
Now, do you know who chose? Diana Drake was on the design team. They did not. RIAC chose the benches.
Right. I think they're great.
Right.
They're comfortable.
They stay cool even
know, they look like
Yes.
It's
It's space age metal. They have that kind of bench up near
so
Manhattan
even
Park.
in the sun, it's
So
That's
for years
great.
they had that.
Yeah, that's great.
Because actually, the metal benches that we have in
Burn
the
yourself.
tram,
That's
very nice. Very cool.
oh,
so
interesting.
it's so that's great.
Very nice.
I
And
have
to
to
sit with that.
And the color goes with the granite rocks. I mean, it blends in well.
Right.
and I like the way
Well, we're getting there's a lot of praise. The conversation started a little negative about the benches, but it's getting very positive.
I was uninformed about the temperature.
Okay, that's right.
Now that I
Some
make
to
a
the
bad,
back,
I
like
return
them a
my
lot.
statement. I hope that's allowed.
This is all a dialogue.
Well, what I like is that it just, unlike our red benches, I mean, this just blends into it. So I don't have to stand back.
And the plan is that there will be shade trees planted between the benches, which will help shade
Right.
his path as well.
I'm so glad you joined
I
me.
was
Yes.
with you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. But it's going to be really hot with the west sun coming.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we are planting trees. Supposedly between each set of benches there will be a shade tree, which won't block the view, but it will provide shade down the road. You know, we had to take out a lot of invasives, and it was hard to take out grown trees. But we thought it was for the best.
Now, should we say, is it okay to call this the Judy Birdie tree? Or
This
is
is
that?
the Judy Birdie tree.
Yes.
Well, you say saved it. I say the seedlings from this tree are the and will continue to be. And the only way to kill maple seedlings is to pull them out or lump them. When they fall in the planted areas, they will not come out. So Judy Birdie is going to have 8 bazillion trees.
There was controversy on this too.
Why they were going to take this tree down?
I would have taken the tree out because it's an invasive, and we tried to take all the invasives out. It's a Norway maple.
Oh, that's terrible. Should have been taken out.
When you say invasive,
It's non-native. No, it's terrible.
It means that
It kills everything.
And they
It
take
kills
away.
everything. It's a very bad tree. It's not
So let's turn our attention to the ruin. And, the thing I want to say about the ruin is that it's unclear. I mean, the big goal of this project was that the ruin would stay there and would be stabilized and preserved so that over time, as the park develops, as the island develops, it'll still be here. And I just, we'll go around that way, When we did the master plan, there was like a glass box in the courtyard on the other side within which could be a cafe and catering facility. And again, that's not going to happen now. But, when the memorial opens, will there be enough visitation? Well, we all hope in between the park and the memorial. Could there be a combination of public and private money to further stabilize it and then private money to develop a sort of very special place? Well, look at that. Why don't we even just...
And have you seen the windows on 513 Main Street? A graduate student at the Pratt Institute for her master's thesis proposed creating artists' residences here so that artists would come, live in the space, work occasionally with presentations to the public, and invoke memory as part of their creative process. So you should take a look at that. It's on display in 513 Main
At the
Street.
master plan process, there was discussion, could the building be rebuilt?
Yeah.
And the response was it was going to be ultra costly, and there was even controversy about whether that's appropriate. Let's put aside the appropriateness, but there were questions about it. But so the current concept, but part of it is if somebody comes up with an economically feasible proposal, at that point it'll be considered. I think the Trust for Public Land and the designers and the planners always felt that to enhance this as a ruin, was the best end use. But yes.
Andy,